Hello Year 5 and Year 6, welcome to hashtag Well Dressed Wednesdays or hashtag Mr Phillips hasn't ironed his shirt Wednesday. Good to see you back again. Hope we're doing all right. Week 2 of English Lessons Live. We're back in the writing room after doing our reading lessons in the technological box yesterday. Hashtag St Anne's Live at St Anne's Wren Hill, rsa.year6 at 3-saints.org.uk. You know the drill. Shall we crack on with our writing for today? Let's start with a bit of a spag starter, shall we? Also, if you're watching this, then hooray, it worked and we've got a writing lesson working. We're going to go today for something that hopefully a lot of you will be familiar with, and if you're not, then you'll pick it up really quickly. Again, Year 6s, you will have done this. It's all recapping for you guys. We're going to look at progressive tenses. Now, with our tenses, we're looking at simple, progressive and perfect by the end of Key Stage 2, okay? So today we're just going to look at progressive and identifying when something is in progressive tense. Now, we can obviously have it in past or present tense as well, but this is something else we can add on, okay? I'm going to show you some examples of progressive tense. So, is running, was jumping, are thinking, were working. Those are 4 examples of progressive tense. Is running, was jumping, are thinking, were working. If you have a look at those 4 examples for me there, what are the common things that you can notice for progressive tense sentences? What are the kind of things that you notice are in all of them? Well, number 1, they both consist of 2 words. It's not like simple tense. In simple past or present, it's 1 word that defines the tense, where in progressive, you need 2 words. You need this word and this word. You need what's called an auxiliary verb. An auxiliary verb, which sounds very complicated, but it's not. It's these ones: is, are, was, were, is, things like that. These are your verbs that help you define the tense, and you'll know these words: is, was, were, but we don't necessarily always see them as verbs. You know, they're verbs to be. You know, I was is, you know, I am, I'm there, I'm existing. So they all need the auxiliary verb, and they also all need the ing action. That's your biggest clue for something that's in progressive. It ends with ing. It has both words, an auxiliary and then an ing verb at the end of it. And these kind of tenses show us that things are continually happening. If it's present, it's still happening. You know, I am running, you are still running. Or if it's in the past, it was a continuous verb at the time. You know, he was running. Yeah, there's no defined end to that verb. All right. So when we're building progressive tense, each word plays a part, which is why you need both words. The auxiliary verb tells you the tense and is also linked to who did it. And then the second word tells you the action. And without both words, it wouldn't make sense. If we just had was, you know, I was, well, we don't know what's happening. But if we had I jumping, then again, we don't know when that was. Is it I am jumping or I was jumping? Now, depending on who's doing it, if it's more than one person, if it's singular or plural, or if it's third or first person, it'll depend on which auxiliary verb we use. For example, this one is running. It could be he is running or she is running. It's singular, but it can't be first person singular, can it? It can't be I is running. That wouldn't work. And it also can't be third person, like plural. It can't be like they is running. It wouldn't work. So you have to have the auxiliary verb that matches who's doing it. So he is running works. For was jumping, you could have he was jumping or she was jumping. But for this one, you can also have, you can have they was jumping. That wouldn't work. But you can have I was jumping. That would work. What about are thinking? What pronoun could you have for there? Well, you could still have, you can't have he. You can't have he are thinking or she are thinking. This is your plural, isn't it? So is your singular, and are is your plural. Have they are thinking or we are thinking. And what about were? Well, you know, we can't have I were or he were working. Again, it's plural. They were working. We were working. So it does depend. And, you know, you can learn to memorise which pronouns fit which with which auxiliary verb, but you can hear when you say it out loud which ones work. So that is your information on your progressive tense. It's made out of 2 words, if we're forgetting the pronouns. 2 words. One is the auxiliary verb that helps us know what tense it's in, and the second one is your ing. So if we looked at a sentence with a progressive tense verb form in it, we would have something like yesterday, which is your adverb. So we separate it with a comma because it's a fronted adverbial, even though it's only 1 word. Yesterday, she was working hard. So we've got an adverb there, we've got our pronoun there, and then this is our progressive verb form. Auxiliary verb, ing, was working. Okay, that's just a bit of a recap for year 6s and a bit of an introduction onto progressive tense verbs. Okay, if you're not sure about anything, maybe pause the video there, go back and have another little listen. They're really easy to spot once you get those key facts ingrained into your brain. So today, we're going to carry on with our piece of writing. Now, I know in the last lesson, it didn't work, so you had to just have a quick look at my model and then go off by yourself. But hopefully, you've finished plot point 3 and you are ready to go. Let's have a quick drink. Okay, so should we have a quick recap on our writing so far? Here we go. A trip to the zoo. There's nothing particularly exciting about that, is there? Nothing story-worthy, nothing gripping or unusual. That's what I thought too. The sun hung low that Saturday morning. It seemed almost nervous to begin the day. Long shadows from the trees surrounding our garden formed distorted cage bars across the grass. I was struggling to squeeze my feet into my battered, certainly too small trainers when Dad's voice roared up the stairs. "Come on, monkey brain," he screamed affectionately. "Get a move on, or we'll leave without you." Looking back now, I wished that they had. We had journeyed roughly half a mile down the road before running into a solid wall of traffic. "Oh, well, this is," Dad growled under his breath. Rather than finish his sentence, he pounded the car's horn repeatedly. He reminded me of an angry ape sometimes. The whole ordeal seemed to last for hours. All the while, Dad honked the horn, Mum tutted inside, and Harry, who seemed to be going for the gold medal at the annoying Brother Olympics, kept prodding and poking me. A swift punch soon ended that. "Don't hit your brother," threatened Dad. "Don't hit your brother," squawked Mum. "Don't hit your brother," beamed Harry, his face splitting into a large grin. Eventually, we arrived and I was able to escape the captivity of the car. Mum asked what we wanted to do first as we approached the blackened arch metal gates of the zoo. "Food court," Harry yelped almost instantly. I rolled my eyes. If he were any greedier, we could leave him in the hippo enclosure and nobody would notice the difference. It was decided that maybe we should see some animals first, before food, so we set off around the city of cages. The first animals we saw reminded me why zoos were not very high on my favourite list of favourite places. It was the noises that I find the worst. And then I've cut out my penfold sentence from yesterday because I'm going to try and use one today instead for you. So we've got loads of writing at the moment, a whole chunk of the story, and today we're on plot point 4, which is hunger sets in / the fight. So that's what we're doing today. It's the hunger / the fight. And we've got some challenges, as we always do. First challenge is going to be to try and use some personification. So we've used pathetic fallacy, where we've got the weather to reflect mood and opinions. But personification is when we give something that is not alive human traits and emotions and actions, okay? So we're going to try and do a bit of personification. We're going to try and use a semicolon. Again, not in a list. We're going to try and use a semicolon to separate two clauses, two main clauses from each other. And then we're also going to try and get one of these penfold sentences in from yesterday that we didn't manage to do because you couldn't see me working on it. What I'll do is when we get to that penfold sentence, I'll introduce you to it, okay? And the penfold sentence is a sentence inspired by Nicola Penfold's book, Where the World Turns Wild, which is my favourite book at the moment, okay? So we're going to try and do a sentence based on the way that she uses dashes for parenthesis, okay? Right, should we crack on? So, which bit of the story? So really, we're doing quite a few pages. We're doing kind of finishing off the animals and going into that fight. So, new paragraph needs a new linking sentence. We need to build cohesion between these paragraphs. We can't just suddenly, right, we're in the next paragraph now. We need to build cohesion. So the last point where we were is we were kind of just walking through the zoo, finding the first set of animals. And we now need to get to the point where we're at a place where the brothers can have a fight. So I feel like I don't want to do another passage of time. We've done a lot of kind of like a little while later and a few hours along and things like that. I don't want to do another passage of time. So maybe I can just kind of hint that they've walked a bit of a distance. So we were using this idea of the city of cages. So maybe again, I'll just stick to that city imagery. So maybe the alleyway. My pen's a little bit running out today, so I'm going to try and press really hard, but apologies if you couldn't see. The alleyway of cages. I just thought then, well, I just called it a city of cages, so probably shouldn't repeat alleyway of cages. So maybe I'll call it the alleyway of animal prisons. Does that sound about right? Yeah. The alleyway of animal prisons. Stretched on for miles. So there, I'm not doing a time link, but I'm kind of hinting that, you know, a good fair distance has been travelled. To be honest, this is probably a good place to get a semicolon in, because a semicolon, this is the main clause, makes sense by itself. I could put a full stop here. And then if I do another main clause, so another sentence that makes sense by itself, that has a general kind of link of theme, then I could use a semicolon, because, you know, roughly speaking, semicolons can replace and but. So maybe I could describe a little bit more about this. So I don't want to explain what I've just said, because that would be a colon. The alleyway of animal prisons stretched on for miles. So maybe I could say, you know, each animal was looking sadder than the last. So each one maybe holding no, I'm gonna have was holding, so it's a full sentence. Need my considering we've just done a starter and progressive, I was trying to miss out the auxiliary verb then, but each one was holding an animal which looked sadder than the last. And by sadder than the last, I mean than the last animal that came before it. There we go. So what I need to do now to make sure that my semicolon is correct is, number one, make sure that both sides of the sentences make sense by themselves. So the alleyway of animals, animal prisons stretched on for miles. That's fine, that makes sense. Each one was holding an animal which looked sadder than the last. Yeah, that makes sense. If I had missed out my auxiliary verb, each one holding an animal which looked sadder than the last, it doesn't quite make a full sentence. So that was really important to put that auxiliary verb in there. And generally, they talk about the same kind of topic, so it makes sense to join them with a semicolon. I could replace that semicolon with a full stop or an and as well. The alleyway of animal prisons stretched on for miles, and each one was holding an animal which looked sadder than the last. So that works. I've got some semicolon in there. So now I've linked to from where I was to where I am now. And again, this whole kind of idea of I'm not going to drag this out, you know, my point is hunger. So let's just get to it. So maybe I can use the sentence starter of, it's hard to try and think of constant different sentence starters. So sometimes you've got to be really kind of creative with how you start your sentences. How about it was now? It was now when, it was now that, and let's do a bit of personification where we personify hunger like an animal inside us, and that links really, really well to our, prison, cage, zoo metaphor thread, because having hunger as an animal that's locked inside you, like, links to that perfectly. So it was now that I could feel, let's do two sentences, one with feel and one with maybe hearing. It was now that I could feel, maybe we could just say the hunger, like it was an animal, like the tiger, the hunger in my stomach. What could we make it do to make it sound like an animal? It was now that I could feel the hunger in my stomach, maybe clawing and scratching. It was now that I could feel the hunger in my stomach, clawing and scratching. Do I need to say where? No, because I've already said, I think. Scratch. So it's for scratching. Yeah. No, what's that? Ask. Stretching. What on earth am I doing? Do you know when you start writing a word, you're like, that's not right, but you can't figure it out? Scratching. There we go. I was too distracted by thinking, do I need to write in my tummy or something? But I've already got my prepositional phrase there, so I don't really need another one. It was now that I could feel the hunger in my stomach, clawing and scratching. So that's a personification to do with feeling. So let's do one to do with hearing. So I know when I'm hungry, my stomach goes blah, 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 blah. So let's do a sound one as well. So maybe we could do, well, I don't want another long sentence because that's two really long sentences. So let's do some short ones. I don't want to say stomach again. My tummy growled. Maybe I can expand that. Let's expand it with a colon. Let's add some more information about that. I could say it was a pitiful plea, or just a pitiful plea. Like it was really like a really sad kind of pitiful noise. My tummy growled a pitiful plea. A pitiful plea for food. There we go. Bit of alliteration there as well. There we go. It was now that I could feel the hunger in my stomach, clawing and scratching. My tummy growled a pitiful plea for food. Brilliant. Right, I'm going to use a bit of dialogue. So you notice I've used maybe one piece of dialogue every single time just to push the story on a little bit. And I'm going to have my character saying maybe we should go for some food. So new speaker, new line, 66. Capital letter, I'm saying maybe. And then blah, blah, blah. Maybe getting food isn't an awful idea. Awful idea. And then I need punctuation. Now it's not a question or something that really requires a exclamation mark. So I'm going to use my comma because I need to put my reporting phrase. 66 capital letter blah blah blah. Punctuation 99. Who said what? So he's going to feel a little bit embarrassed, isn't he, about saying this, because literally Harry's just been told no. So he's going to take it in kind of a shy way. So maybe getting food isn't an awful idea, I muttered. And maybe he's not going to say it to Dad, is he? Because Dad has already proved himself to be not particularly nice. So maybe I muttered to Mum. What could they be? What could they be doing? Maybe as they're leaning against a cage, maybe, isn't it? Or like as they're resting somewhere. As we rested against the railings. Against the railings. Now it happened next to the monkeys, didn't it? Because the point was that the fight reminded Mum of the monkeys. So maybe getting food isn't an awful idea, I muttered to Mum as we rested against the railings near the monkeys. Now, I need something to kind of start a fight. So maybe I can have Harry kind of like coming straight up behind me going, "See, I told you," and giving him a bit of a knock, which causes my character to retaliate. So that's actually going to be a new piece of dialogue. So I need to do a new speak, a new line. Now I'm going to go up to the top because I've run out of space. I just need to remember, I've done personification, so I just need a bit of a penfold sentence before the end. So new speak, a new line. 66, capital letter C. I told you, very good, letter formation. I told you, and that one can be an exclamation mark. So I've got C, exclamation mark. I told you, exclamation mark. That's the end of my speech, so 99. Harry. Now I've done yelped. Oh, maybe I could say, rather than Harry bellowed, I could say bellowed Harry and just change it up a little bit. Bellowed Harry. Now, I want him to hit him in the back. Now, I don't want to make it drag on and on and on. So I'm going to use a non-finite ing clause, like a progressive tense verb without the auxiliary, to put action straight in there. So, see, I told you, bellowed Harry, smacking me on the back. So, those of you with siblings, you know, if you've been hit by a sibling, you turn around immediately, don't you? And you're right back on them. So, immediately, comma, because that's my adverb, I spun around. I don't want to say and hit him back. Maybe and returned the favour. Returned the favour. See, I told you, bellowed Harry, smacking me on the back. Immediately, I spun around and returned the favour, which means, you know, you hit him back. I'm going to finish on a penfold sentence now, I think. So, before long, comma, because that's my adverbial phrase, my fronted adverb. Before long, we were rolling on the floor. And then I could use a penfold sentence to explain what we were doing. We were rolling on the floor, dash, kicking, scratching, biting. Biting? Yeah, biting. Like animals, we want to make it, don't we? There we go. And that is my whole plot point 4. A quick drink of tea to celebrate. Hurrah. Right, let's have a little read through of it and see how it sounds. So, the alleyway of animal prisons stretched on for miles. Each one was holding an animal which looked sadder than the last. It was now that I could feel the hunger in my stomach clawing and scratching. My tummy growled, a pitiful plea for food. Maybe getting food isn't an awful idea, I muttered to Mum as we rested against the railings near the monkeys. See, I told you, bellowed Harry, smacking me on the back. Immediately, I spun around and returned the favour. Before long, we were rolling on the floor, kicking, scratching, biting. There we go. So in that piece, we've managed to sum up quite a lot of what's gone on. We've managed to get the fight going on. We've managed to kind of progress the characters a little bit. And we've managed to get all of our techniques in today. We've got our semicolon, didn't we? We got our personification and we got our penfold sentence. So that's going to be your piece today. I want you to have a little go at writing plot point 4, which is hunger and the fight. Obviously, if you want to expand the fight a little bit afterwards, you can do. Just take it carefully. Don't get too don't run away with it too much. Okay, and I will see you guys again tomorrow for your reading session. Okay, see you later, guys. Bye.